I'm joined by Avery, Sinanan, Senior Counsel, and we are talking about the whole issue surrounding the Chief Justice. The Law Association on Tuesday held a vote which would now see a report being sent to the Prime Minister expressing their concerns about the Chief Justice. So, Mr. Sinanan, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you this morning.
Well, the pleasure is all mine.
One thing people want to understand is how did we get here, where the Law Association had to take a vote for the possible impeachment of the Chief Justice?
All right, about 18 months to 2 years ago, certain questions arose in the public domain, which impacted upon the Chief Justice and ultimately the judiciary and the administration of justice. These questions or these issues were considered serious enough by the Law Association for some sort of investigation or examination. And attempts were made to have the Chief Justice respond to the allegations that were made. He gave one response, a very short response, which really carried the matter no further.
Mm-hmm.
And so the concerns continued to fester and continued to be very live issues in the public domain, which led to the Law Association setting up a committee to examine and investigate in order to satisfy itself. Because I should point out to you, Rishi, that the Law Association considered itself as a statutory body,
Mm-hmm.
and it considered itself as having a mandate to promote the administration of justice. And anything which threatens the administration of justice, that threatens to bring it into disrepute, really falls within the remit of the Law Association to attempt to address it. And it is that motivation, that statutory motivation or statutory injunction that propelled the Law Association to mount this investigation or examination. Now, having said that, the Law Association does not have the forensic tools. And very much, I think it was anticipated that there would be some cooperation by the Chief Justice and others involved in order to resolve the issues and bring some measure of quietude,
Mm-hmm.
and still the concerns that were swirling in the public domain. Well, that did not happen. So the Law Association continued with the examination, but the Chief Justice took an unusual course. He disagreed that it was within the remit of the Law Association to investigate him, and he instituted legal proceedings. Well, you know the outcome of that.
Yep.
Initially, he was successful at first instance, and then unanimously the Court of Appeal said the Law Association does in fact have the authority to carry out the investigation it had embarked upon, and ultimately the Privy Council sanctioned that. The Privy Council saying while the Chief Justice is not accountable to the Law Association, it still has, the Law Association still has the mandate and the prerogative to carry out some sort of investigation in terms of promoting the administration of justice.
So what exactly did the Law Association agree to at this special meeting that was held on Tuesday?
All right, there was a vote. The resolution was whether the report as prepared on the basis of the investigation carried out and on the basis of the advice received by two senior counsel, one QC, Francis Alexis from Grenada, and Mr. Courtney from Belize. On the basis of that advice, they both came down. The reasoning was a little different, but they both came down on the issue that there should be a reference to the Prime Minister. So when that was compiled and factored into the report, the resolution that was put to the floor at the Law Association meeting on Tuesday was whether this report should be referred to the Prime Minister, who is the repository of the responsibility, the constitutional repository of the responsibility to make any representation to the President so far as the conduct of the Chief Justice is concerned. So that was the resolution, to have the report sent to the Prime Minister for his consideration.
How do these actions or alleged actions by the Chief Justice hamper his his ability to carry out his duties?
All right, we have to dissect the situation into two areas. First of all, it does not impact on his intellect in terms of if one took a myopic view. It doesn't impact on his intellect to read legal principles, apply legal principles, and arrive at a legal decision. However, you have to understand that the Chief Justice is not just an ordinary judge. He's the embodiment of the judiciary and he carries a certain persona, which I like to say, like Caesar's wife, he ought to be beyond reproach. And anything that compromises or impacts on the judiciary and tends to bring it into disrepute transgresses that level of probity and that level of propriety which one wants to associate with the institution of the judiciary. So from that point of view, if it is quite apart from his intellectual ability to adjudicate on a matter, as I say, if you take a myopic view, test it this way, put it in the crucible this way. How does, for example, one of the major allegations against the Chief Justice is that he used his office or his position to communicate with a state agency in order to procure favors for certain of his friends. As a matter of fact, an unanswered question is that he had communication with the Prime Minister via email or electronic communication, urging that some favor be granted to one of his friends or some other person. How does a man in the street feel about that? Suppose a man in the street, you, for example, you had a case against the HDC, which was a state agency, and the Chief Justice is adjudicating on that. Would you not feel that whether he recuses himself or not, but would you not feel that he's in some way compromised? He's beholden, as it were.
So it's like you expect a favor from him in return.
Yes. So that I don't think, as I say, like Caesar's wife, he ought to be beyond reproach and beyond suspicion. And it may very well be that he never adjudicates on a case involving the HDC or persons who he procured favors for, or agencies from whom he procured favors. But the potential is there.
So, Mr. Sinanan, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I hope that the Prime Minister would give when the report does in fact come to him, give it his urgent consideration and not perch himself on a branch of lethargy, because it is something that has been in the public domain and it's an unsettling state of affairs so far as the judiciary is concerned. And the sooner that we say either yea or nay, whether this is going to move forward or not, the better that the better off we will be in terms of putting back the judiciary on even keel.
And I think that is what members of the public would like to see. Mr. Avery Sinanan, Senior Counsel, thank you very much for coming in and clearing up some of these issues. I think that these are some questions that members of the public would have, because they need to get a clear picture of what is happening with one of our highest office holder, the Chief Justice.